Welcome investors! Today I want to talk with you about relation between Russia and China, and I also want to answer the question if Russia is going to receive any military help from China. Of course, it is connected to war in Ukraine, and I'm following this very closely because I was born in Poland. That's where my heart is. Right now, I'm in United States for past 23 years, but Poland is my hometown, and I follow very closely what's going on. Okay, so let's talk about this strange relation between Russia and China. You have to remember that those two countries, Russia and China, have a very rocky relation. In 1960s, Russians actually wanted to nuke Chinese because of the differences in ideology, because of the border disputes, because of the dominance in the region. So, and US opposed this. US opposed this. So this what you see right now, this closing relation between China and Russia is something which you see on the surface, but underneath, those countries are not meant to be friends like you have United States and Canada. This is not similar relationship. Basically, Russia right now is knocking really hard to the Chinese doors for help because they are running out of ammo, and China is only one ally on the planet Earth who is big enough to make a major breakthrough and help Russia to make a major breakthrough on the front line in Ukraine. Because the rest of the allies, if you take a look at the allies of Russia, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, South Africa, those are meaningless countries if you are talking about the military equipment and potential help for Russia. So the China is the crucial ally for Russia. But China is the country which is smarter than Russia. Leadership, Chinese leadership, I have to make this very specific. Chinese leadership, in comparison to Russian leadership, it's way smarter because they know if they started helping Russia militarily, they would cut themselves from the Western world as the customers for all the goods which they produce. And they know that their economy would go down because domestic consumption is not strong enough to sustain the growth of China. And Chinese leadership knows this, that they are too weak right now to openly oppose the West. That's why during this meeting right now, which is ending today, Wednesday, you see Chinese president not making any breakthrough statements like, oh, we are going to help Russia militarily, we are going to give them ammunition, we are gonna give them rockets, we're gonna give them airplanes. No, Chinese president Xi Jinping is saying vaguely some general statements that they are on the side of Russia, that they want to close the partnership, that they want to deepen their relationship, but you don't see any clear and specific statements like, we're gonna go with you and help you militarily, we're going to support you with all our means. Like months ago, you probably heard this statement between Russia and China that their friendship has no boundaries and no limits. This statement was especially popular around the Winter Olympics. But this did not materialize right now because, like I said, Chinese, they know that economy in their country is very, very, very important, and they don't want to lose the biggest customer for all their goods and slowly services. They know that this is not the time for them to openly oppose the Western countries, especially countries in Europe and United States. Probably if China felt strong enough that they can do this, they would do this. So it is not the matter of liking the West or it's just a matter of strength. It's the matter of money. It's the matter of power. They are just not powerful enough to do this. Maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, they will be able to do this. They will feel strong enough. They will do this. There will be nothing to stop them, because all facts indicates that China is trying to build their military to the point that they can balance the United States, that they can deter United States from having such a strong influence on the Pacific and in South China Sea, and they can eventually go and get Taiwan. But, like I said, they are smarter than Russians, than Russian leadership, because on the other side you have Russia and their leadership, which made a decision to invade Ukraine basically by ignorance, huge ignorance, not even checking your potential enemy. They disregard it, they ignore the Ukraine. But the Ukraine from 2014 is completely different Ukraine right now, and that's the main reason why the Ukraine stands until now. But Russians did not do their homework. They just totally show their ignorance and I would say stupidity. How can you invade the country without doing any substantial deep reconnaissance, checking their armed forces, checking the mood in the country? It is completely stupid what they did, and it all goes to the leadership, because leadership in Russia, the same for past 23 years. When you are on the top for past 23 years, you're losing connection to reality. You're losing connection to this, what is actually happening on the ground. And slowly during this past 23 years, Ukraine grew to kind of small, broken, but work in progress democracy. A lot of corruption, but if you watch the presidential campaign between Poroshenko and President current Zelensky, you can see that these people over there, they really exchange the ideas, they really exchange the values, but that was the mostly democratic exchange, not like in Russia, where there is completely no exchange, no opposition. So I watched the videos. It's very interesting to see. If you are interested in the subject, watch the debates. Even if you don't understand the language, from body language of Poroshenko and Zelensky, you can see that those people, they want to be free. And one lost, and he lost, Poroshenko lost his presidential bid for the second term, but he did not started going towards direction like illegally somehow seizing power. He gave the power, and there was a transition of power, which was a great sign for Ukraine being this kind of small in infancy democracy. So that's why Russians did not pay attention what is growing right on their backyard. And they decided to invade. So on the other side, you have China, very smart leadership, which is making very small steps towards China becoming a powerful country. And of course, China would like to get the Taiwan, but they know that they're not ready right now. They know, and the fact that they know already tells you that they are way ahead of the Russian leadership, way ahead. And absolutely, like I said earlier, they will not provide military aid to Russia because they know that this is not a good deal for their economy long term. What is good for them, why the President Xi Jinping came to Russia, is to deepen relationship, but specifically to make sure that Russia is going to be selling them natural gas, oil, and whatever another natural resources Russia has. But if you look also closer about these statements about selling natural gas to China, it is a fiction because there is no pipelines going from Russia to China. So this statement which I read from the meetings of those two presidents, it's a real fiction because if they started building right now, another 10 years, then they can start floating the natural gas in the same volume like Russia was floating towards Europe. So most likely it's going to be crude oil, it's going to be some another natural resources because let's be honest, Russian economy has nothing else to offer because besides natural resources and some outdated military equipment. That's all what they have. There's nothing else in this economy. It's one big giant gas station. So that's the main economy. It's based on the natural resources. So this relation between Russia and China, like I said, it's really rocky because underneath there is a lot of claims, territorial claims from China, but of course it's not going all the way to the top, and President of China is not going to say to Putin that they want to get the land which they own for thousands years, and the Russians just grab it during past 100 years. So it is a very strange relation, and how this is going to affect the markets and particularly the companies or stock market. And personally, I'm staying away from any Russian companies and from any Chinese companies. Russian companies, huge corruption, and you're putting the money, so I would say it's better to buy the lottery ticket than putting into the Russian economy any companies which are based in Russia. China, same, huge corruption. But another thing which I'm afraid in China is that this country eventually is going to disintegrate because such a huge amount of people with access to free media, eventually those people will demand political freedom. You could see a couple weeks ago there was demonstrations against 100% COVID policy, total lockdowns. Chinese government saw this, boom. Next week they took off 0% COVID policy. They already waived this. They already said no more because they are afraid of power of people. So that's what I think eventually is going to happen in China. And in the history of China, there was already something like this happening, where the rich part of the eastern part of China, which is on the coast, kind of got completely different view than the western side of China, which is poorer, which is kind of working towards making the east side much more wealthier. And there will be those tensions growing, and I think eventually China is going to disintegrate. Hard to say when this is going to happen, but I'm not putting any of my money into any Chinese companies, because I deeply believe that this is not a country with the future. Of course, you're going to say, oh, how about America has so many problems, racism, there's right now socialist government giving away the money, wasting money, devaluing the currency. But the main difference is that in United States you have transition of power. In China there is no transition of power. Current president changed the constitution, changed the law that he can serve third term. The same situation, of course, Russia. So if you don't have transition of power, you don't have someone criticizing the government, criticizing economy, criticizing the current approach towards social issues, you don't have progress. So that's the main difference. And like I said, US is not perfect, but there is open discussion about the government, about what the government is doing wrong, about what to do better. It's not always a better idea, sometimes it's worse, but eventually there is another idea which is better. So there is a constant discussion, constant change, transition. You have every 4 years presidential election, you have every 2 years election to the House of Representatives. It's US, you can say, it's in a constant election mode. When I came here 23 years ago, I was thinking, wow, what a stupid idea. Constantly have elections every 2 years, president every 4 years. What a joke. But you know what? After being here for 23 years, I realized that the worst thing what can happen to the country is stagnation on the top of the country. One guy for 10 or 20, 23 years, like in Russia. That's the worst thing what can happen to the country. Okay, so that is my take about those issues between, not maybe issues, about the relation between China and Russia, and about this geopolitical situation, how this is going to play out. Please let me know, what do you think? Maybe you disagree with any of this what I said. Write down in the comments section. I would like to hear from you. I'm open-minded. Maybe you can tell me something different and I'll change my mind. I would love to hear from you. And like always, if you like the video, give me a thumb up, share the video all over the social media, and help me to build a very simple investing channel. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.